Um, Basically, it really grew out of a handful of us um, living in Western Loudoun, but often having to go into Eastern Loudoun, or actually in those days I commuted all the way into Fairfax, um, and just seeing how much the county was growing and how much was being lost so quickly in terms of natural habitat. And the greatest threat to wildlife worldwide is loss of habitat, which is why we have that as part of our, preserving habitat is, a basic tenet of our mission.
What Loudoun Wildlife does really can probably be coalesced into four areas. It's education, advocacy, habitat conservation, which consists of different restoration activities that we do and things that we do in J.K. Black Oak, and then citizen science, which is a huge part of what we do.
We quickly realized that one of the areas that was most important that we work in was Eastern Loudoun, because it was the part that was being developed the most quickly. That was an area where, 30 years ago, there were still actually a fair number of farms in Eastern Loudoun.
It was never an anti-development or an anti-progress type of organization, but the whole idea is we understand that progress and what you would call progress and development is going to happen, but how can we minimize the damage to our wildlife, and not just minimize it, but avoid it in cases too? How can we make that something that people are really thinking about?
To interject there are actually examples of communities in Loudoun County that were developed with the idea of preserving natural habitat.
Yeah. And citizen science, from a high level view, it's really just what it suggests and what they've been explaining. It's a way for your everyday person to be involved in actual scientific surveys. So the things that they do, the data that they collect, is in almost all cases shared with other organizations, shared with other scientists to inform bigger studies and broader studies that they're doing.
Phil's a good example. He's been a captain of one of our teams in stream monitoring which we've done almost since the beginning.
Yeah, that was the first one we started, was the stream monitoring program. Joe happened to be working at A&S as well as
I was on the board of the Audubon Natural Society.
And he knew Cliff Fairweather. Cliff came over and taught us how to identify the macroinvertebrates. So he started us on that. And that was our first one, I think.
We've lost 30% of all of our wild birds in the last 50 years in North America. And the counts that they do, the Christmas bird count, the spring bird count, the things they do with eBird, which is a very popular tool that any citizen can use, all indicate that bird populations are dropping dramatically. And then that's happening, you have hard data to do it, and then you start researching what's causing it. And you identify what's causing it, and you correct the things you can correct, and try to figure out ways to deal with the other parts. But the big thing that also happens with it is we can do a tremendous amount of education with it, with all of these different programs. And that's the part you keep coming back to.
It's all interconnected.
And letting people know that what you're doing is based on sound science.
One of the challenges that you ask about, I think, is sometimes people feel a little intimidated maybe to sign up to volunteer or to come out and help, because they think, I'm not an expert in this, and I will feel stupid if I come out and I'm asked questions I don't know. But we're really trying to create an environment where people feel welcome and understanding that you don't know what you don't know, and as you learn things, then you can put those into practice in your daily life. We really rely on building partnerships, and I know that was something that Joe did from the very beginning, talking with him about the history of the organization. Partnerships with other organizations, because there's so many other like-minded groups here in Loudoun County, and clearly you can have so much more of an impact if you're working together and not in a siloed area. So from the advocacy standpoint, I think really speaking to these groups, there's a group called the Loudoun County Preservation and Conservation Coalition. But we're a part of that. Other groups are a part of that. We meet every month, and all those groups come together and we talk about different advocacy issues that are coming and that we need to pay attention to. And we strategize among each other how best we can, our organizations, whichever ones they may be, how they can best help each other. So we got a $94,000 grant from Loudoun County for what is going to be a nature-based education initiative that we have, and we have this amazing program I want to mention too as part of our overall education work. It's called the Peterson Young Naturalist Program, and when I attended my very first meeting with Loudoun Wildlife last year, this is one of the first things that I saw and really touched me. It's a program that goes into schools. It tries to get students outside and involved in outdoor classroom learning, nature-based education, and it connects with teachers' curriculum. So it's something that we're already partnering with Loudoun County Public Schools to do, and we're really excited to receive that grant to see where we can take this, because getting young children, young kids, and this is K through 12 that the Peterson program goes through, so it spans the gamut. But getting them in touch with nature at an early age, understanding the value of it, not just from a scientific level, but how it makes them feel. And the studies really show that this type of, and we talk to teachers and get the scientific data as well, that this type of exposure to nature improves just about every possible area of a student's well-being that you can imagine. It improves their mental well-being, it improves their ability to communicate with their peers, it improves their retention, it improves their focus. That no matter what level you are in knowledge level, if the executive director is learning a lot, you can certainly feel like, yeah, you can come and participate in anything at any point, and we want you to. Where it's not you're not going to be judged for what you don't know. It's the first step is just to want to do something, make a difference. That's how this all started. Joe and the other two founders, they wanted to make a difference. They saw something that needed to be done. They had a passion for nature and for wildlife, and they created this organization that's still here 30 years later. And
by just saving a natural trail in a forest and saving some woods, you're not just helping the wildlife, you're helping people be able to chill and relax a little bit. Nature is absolutely fascinating. I think one of the first things with Loudoun Wildlife Conservancy that we recognized early on is that it really enriches people's lives in the world. And the other thing, it improves our quality of life immensely. And if nature is healthy, it often means humankind is also healthy. And when nature isn't healthy, if issues are arising because of climate change or even a temporary drought or something like that, it impacts nature, and we're also getting impacted.
Unique, but then ever since then.
That's a yellow-billed cuckoo. Yellow-billed cuckoos aren't as plentiful, say, as phoebes. They also are really an attractive, pretty bird, and that is that's a cuckoo again. Yeah, it was sounding again.